Hey guys, so for today's video we have a bunch of different Chrysler 300 concept vehicles that I wanted to dig up and share with you. They are all made by Chrysler, of course, from varying decades, starting in 1991 and ending in 2015. Hope you enjoy the video, and let's get on with it. With the release of the Viper as Dodge's halo car, Chrysler wanted their brand to have a flagship vehicle as well, and they created the 1991 Chrysler 300 concept to do just that. The entire vehicle was Viper based, right down to the V10, despite the 300 being the bigger car in every other way. The Viper space frame was used, but stretched by 2 feet 4 inches longer, half an inch wider, and 7 inches taller for the bigger body and wheels. The end result was a length of 206.5 inches and a 125.9 inch wheelbase, around the same as the original 1955 Chrysler C300. The design kind of looks guppy and droopy like, with seemingly saggy body lines and then a chrome slot grille, and Chrysler would use similar styling like this for many of their vehicle for the most of the next decade. The 300 also had suicide doors, and extra steel framing was engineered into the roof and pillars, making this capable of passing federal crash tests. The interior was two-tone, black on the driver's side and tan on the passenger side, with wooden accents. All the controls are angled towards the driver. There was lots of tech in the tight rear seat area, cell phones, headphones, a TV, and a VCR built in. There was also an early form of keyless ignition, where the driver used a mag card to open the ignition switch, and different cards could store settings like mirror and seat positions for different drivers. Huge sound insulation was also used in the cabin, considering this was a luxury vehicle and the V10 was a very loud engine. Speaking of that engine, it used the same 8-liter V10 as the Viper, but swapped the manual transmission for a 4-speed automatic with luxury buyers in mind. So that made the concept good for 385 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. This was also one of the first concept cars with massive wheels, 19 inches up front with 275mm wide tires, and 20 inches in the back with gigantic 335s. Many concept cars after this one would follow suit with huge wheel and tire setups because it just looks a lot better that way. This was created intending to go to production, with the body and lighting even street legal, but unfortunately was just too impractical and radical to add to Chrysler's lineup at the time, and it never made it. Next up is the 2000 Chrysler 300 Hemi C convertible, which we have been over in another video as well. I cut this one down a little bit from that. The concept was a 4-passenger rear-wheel drive convertible based on the LH platform. The body gets a custom paint job with a frosted mocha pearl coat finish, and there's a center peak line running from the front to back with chrome bodyside moldings and door handles. Moving inside, the 300 Hemi C got a refined and luxury interior to match the body. The chrome bodyside moldings on the outside are matched on the inside with a wedged California walnut molding. There's a chrome ring that you can see from a bird's eye view wrapping around the doors and behind the seats. There's also leather-wrapped seats and steering wheel, adjustable pedals, a hardcover tonneau, and an integrated automatic rollover bar. Chrysler does like to get high-tech with their concepts, and this one is no different, with a driver infotronic system with full internet access and a trunk-mounted plug-and-play laptop computer. Another cool feature was the added fingerprint scanner that was hooked up to a tiny camera, so in order to actually get the vehicle moving and drive it, the driver's fingerprint and picture must match the system information. This was one of the first instances where the world would see the publicized return of the Hemi, which in this case was the 5.7-liter V8, and that resulted in an output of 353 horsepower and 353 pound-feet of torque for this concept, paired with a 4-speed automatic transmission with the auto stick feature where you can shift yourself. At a curb weight of around 3,500 pounds, Chrysler claimed this concept could do 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds, the quarter mile in 14.2 seconds, and have a top speed of 160 miles per hour. While the plug would get pulled on this concept, the Chrysler 300C was released with the Hemi in the end, in 2005, and that car is still around today. Since this video is all about the Chrysler 300 concepts, it's worth mentioning the 2003 pre-production car, which Chrysler would show off in anticipation of releasing the actual vehicle in late 2004 as a 2005 model. There's nothing really to write home about here, as it's pretty much the same car that made it to production, with a few slight changes, so I will keep it short. But this is where we learned that the concept, and later the production car, was based roughly on the Mercedes E-Class, using the 5-speed automatic, steering system, suspension components, seats, and electronics all from Mercedes. Designer Ralph Gilles said that the 300 was, quote, as different from the Magnum as it needed to be, end quote, when talking about the styling. The interior on the concept had a tortoise shell pattern on the steering wheel, shift knob, and door pulls, and Chrysler had originally stated that the 5.7 Hemi would have 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, but the real numbers were kind of flipped, 340 and 390. 2008 Chrysler 300C Hollywood prototype was first unveiled at the Detroit Auto Show in January 2007, designed to be the ultimate luxury vehicle, with a design as outlandish as its name. The designers had envisioned a vehicle that would bring superstars to massive events, like the Oscars let's say, and were inspired by early 20th century landaulettes, which had long bodies with the passengers covered by a convertible top, usually separated from the driver by some type of division. The Mopar Underground design team took on this job, led by Ralph Gilles, and they extended the chassis of a regular Chrysler 300C by 18 inches. The longer body rides on chromed out 22-inch wheels. The saffron yellow interior was incredibly luxurious, with supple leather seats, a huge center console storage box, and a designated area that can hold 3 bottles of champagne and 2 flutes for drinking them. Two 15.4-inch liquid crystal TVs and a Harman Kardon audio system ensure that you won't get bored while you're being chauffeured around, and getting out is easy with rear suicide doors for the passengers. So this was an awesome project that was taken on by Mopar Underground, the same team responsible for the 2003 Dodge SRT4. What's even more impressive is that this team of people usually worked on these projects at the end of their normal workdays, putting in extra hours. So you can see they really care about their work and creating some very special vehicles. At the 2010 Geneva Motor Show, Chrysler unveiled an interesting iteration of the 300C, the Eco-Style concept. As the name suggests, many parts of this model are built with eco-friendly and recycled materials. So the interior features things like cork and bamboo on the door trim, center console, and steering wheel, recycled jute carpeting, and suede seat inserts for all of the seats. On the exterior, the paint used is water-based and the wheels are refurbished. That concept had vanilla paint with a black roof, 20-inch wheels, and the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 engine, which ironically is not that eco-friendly at all, even though Chrysler advertised that it was, with their multi-displacement system that can shut off 4 cylinders to save on gas consumption. Now 2010 was memorable for a horrible reason, the catastrophic Haiti earthquake, causing an estimated $8.5 billion worth of damage. Chrysler was the exclusive automotive sponsor for the second half of the 67th Annual Golden Globe Awards on January 17th of 2010, and they used that opportunity to help raise money for relief for Haiti. A mix of nominees and presenters partnered with Chrysler: Christina Aguilera, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks, Felicity Huffman, and Colin Firth, who each arrived at the event in a different 300 Eco-Style limited edition vehicle. And you can see the details on screen now for what each car was about, but the pictures were very hard to come by, and then each of those cars was auctioned off for charity after the event. The president and CEO for Chrysler at the time, Olivier Francois, spoke a lot about the earthquake and how Chrysler wanted to fulfill their social responsibility to help in any way that they could. One last effort was that Olivier donated his personal vehicle, a 300C, which would be parked at the entrance of the Beverly Hilton Hotel at the event, and that was signed by over 300 celebrities, fitting for the name, and then auctioned off, with all of the money going to help Haiti, and that car would sell for $100,000. This eco-style was a nice idea and the car looked great inside and out, but obviously that is a tough idea to pull off and sustain at the mass production level. Next up on the list is the Chrysler 300 Royer design concept. Hope I'm saying that half decently well. But anyways, in 2012, Chrysler announced that they were planning on selling their 300 sedan in China, so they celebrated by bringing this concept to the 2012 Beijing International Automotive Exhibition. The plan was to use the 300C as a base, and then tweak it to attract the Chinese market. Taking a look back into the past, the word Royer has a rich history dating back thousands of years, as early as during the Han Dynasty in 206 BC. It means as desired or as you wish, and is a curved decorative object, serving as a ceremonial scepter that symbolizes power and good fortune within the Chinese culture. A scepter is a ceremonial staff used by kings as a symbol of power, becoming popular in the Ming Dynasty from 1368 to 1644 AD. That's our history lesson. Back to the car. Starting off with the exterior, the Royer is painted in maximum steel with dark chrome door handles and grille area. The fascia was modded from the regular 300s with low side sills, a unique rear fascia, and a front end that looks like it has a fascia resembling the SRT version. The grille is polished with dark chrome, as I mentioned, but you'll notice the pattern is Royer inspired, different from any other 300 grille. The glass is tinted in bluish steel grey, so it can be in harmony with the paint color on the body. On the deck lid there is a Royer Chinese character badge, and a dark stripe blends in and runs along the side of the body. The coolest feature in my opinion are the 22-inch alloy wheels, polished with dark chrome pockets and 10 spokes, and each spoke has a curvature reminiscent of the Roi Scepter. Moving to the inside, there are black chrome on the dash vents, navigation screen bezels, gauge rings, steering wheel area, and door handles. Machined metal accent trim was found on the center console area, and the best part of the interior would be the beautiful cream-colored leather seats with suede inserts, side bolsters, black piping, and a Roi-inspired cloud form that's embossed into the seat backs. For performance, nothing new here, as the Roi got the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 and the 8-speed automatic transmission. Overall, this was a cool concept idea that was well received by the Chinese market, but ultimately was never put into production. I couldn't find any details on sales in China for the Chrysler 300, so I'm not sure if this venture into the Chinese market was successful or if it even happened. Now we move on to the final vehicle on our list today, and in my opinion, the best is saved for last. 2015 saw Chrysler release a jaw-dropping, incredible-looking concept, the Super S at the SEMA show in Las Vegas. This is pretty much the scat pack of the 300s, showing that the 300 can be just as sporty and muscular as its Dodge Charger brother. After the 300 SRT left the North American market after 2014, many people weren't happy and they hoped that Chrysler would revive the SRT, especially considering that it was still being produced for the Middle East and Australia. Of course, we now know that that never happened, but Chrysler gave everybody some real hope with this Super S. All I can say is that Chrysler really nailed this look. The thing looks incredible. The matte blue paint job, or as they call it, matte cerulean, contrasts beautifully with the 7-spoke Mopar dark hyper black low gloss wheels, which are 22 by 9 inches all around. The body is also lowered with a Mopar coilover kit, removing that wheel gap from stock and giving it a great stance without overdoing it. The front end has an Easter egg, or I guess you could say about 300 of them, as Mopar has lined the upper and lower grills with mini Mopar M logos as accents, which is really cool and resembles a mesh grill from afar. Those, along with the Chrysler winged badge, are all finished in dark hyper black low gloss as well. The back gets an SRT spoiler and rear diffuser for aerodynamic purposes, and there's also a very nice Super S badge on the front fender. The uniqueness carries on inside, but I unfortunately couldn't find very many photos of that. There are catskin light grey leather seats with blue stitching and trim to match the outside. A T-handle shifter has replaced the very non-sporty rotary dial, and Chrysler added an SRT flat-bottom steering wheel as well. Other touches include Mopar door sill guards, premium carpet floor mats, and a unique cargo mat with badging. As nice as all of that was, finally Chrysler provided more than just a visual improvement, as the concept was loaded with Mopar performance parts. It didn't have the 6.4 Hemi like the SRT version overseas, but the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 under the hood got Mopar's Stage 1, 2, and 3 Scat Pack upgrade kits, the same ones offered for the Dodge Charger and Challenger, and I'll show the improvements for those on screen. With all three, the 300's Hemi is boosted to over 470 horsepower. Upgrades include performance CNC ported cylinder heads, high-flow catalytic converters, a performance PCM, camshaft, tie bars, heavy-duty push rods and gaskets, and a low-restriction oil filter. That's all part of the various stages, but Mopar also used some parts from their catalog, adding front and rear performance strut tower braces, a cold air intake, a catback exhaust, and a big brake kit. For such an amazing concept, it's really a shame Chrysler never did anything with it, and they really didn't even apply the ideas from this towards any future 300 models. I do think that this might be the best looking 300 that I've ever seen, and that upgraded performance would easily match the SRT as well. So that's the end of the video, guys. Which concept was your favorite out of these Chrysler 300s? I personally love the 2015 Super S. Chrysler has definitely transformed some cool ideas into reality and brought a few awesome vehicles to life. Thanks for watching, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and make sure to like and subscribe for more Mopar content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.